Have you ever prayed, affirmed, and visualized for something with all your heart, only to be met with deafening silence? You have the faith, but where is the result? What if your faith is asleep, and there is one simple, almost childlike action that can awaken it? The truth is, you're caught in the trap of passive faith, that frustrating state of believing in a positive outcome while your every action whispers doubt and contradiction. You say you believe, yet you sit motionless waiting for a sign from the universe before you dare to move. This paralysis of faith creates a spiritual stagnation that blocks the very miracles you seek. Most people wait for their miracle to arrive before they get ready for it, treating faith like a spectator sport, where they watch from the sidelines, hoping their team will win without their participation. But the brilliant Florence Scovel Shinn taught that this approach is completely backward, a fundamental misunderstanding of how spiritual law operates. You must get ready before your good arrives, demonstrating through action that you are serious about receiving what you've asked for. This is not about forcing outcomes or manipulating the universe. It's about aligning your physical reality with your spiritual conviction. When you prepare for your blessing before any evidence appears, you send an unmistakable signal to both your subconscious mind and the infinite intelligence that governs all things. The promise before you today is learning the principle of active faith, what Shinn called digging your ditches, a method of performing small symbolic physical acts that transform hope into expectancy. These acts serve as commands to your deeper mind, declarations that you are no longer wishing or wondering, but expecting with the certainty of someone who has already received. Through this ancient yet startlingly practical wisdom, you will discover how to bridge the gap between spiritual desire and physical manifestation, creating a magnetic pull that draws your good to you with surprising speed and precision. Florence Scovel Shinn was a no-nonsense spiritual teacher from the 1920s, whose wisdom cuts through the fog of mystical complexity with startling directness and effectiveness. Unlike many teachers who wrap truth in layers of abstraction, Shinn delivered practical spirituality that anyone could apply immediately, regardless of their background or beliefs. Her teachings have endured for a century, precisely because they work, not theoretically, not eventually, but practically and consistently for those who apply them with understanding. In this video, you will learn how to move from passive hoping to active expecting, transforming yourself from a spiritual beggar into a confident receiver of divine abundance. You will master the as-if principle in its most practical form, a physical habit that signals to every level of your being that your desire is not a distant possibility, but a done deal awaiting delivery. This is not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe something that feels false. It's about creating a physical correspondence to your spiritual request that makes belief natural and effortless. But here's what most people miss. The feeling behind this act is everything, and doing it from the wrong state of mind will completely nullify its power. I'll reveal exactly how to ensure your act is one of pure faith, not fear, in Part 4. A distinction so crucial that missing it explains why so many attempts at manifestation fail. For now, if you're ready to stop waiting and start preparing, subscribe to this channel and comment below with one thing you are preparing to receive, because your declaration is the first step in your transformation from passive observer to active creator. At the heart of Florence Scovel Shinn's teaching lies a truth so simple that most people overlook it entirely. Faith without works, without corresponding action, is spiritually dead. This isn't about earning your good through effort or proving yourself worthy through labor. It's about understanding the fundamental mechanics of how consciousness creates reality. Your subconscious mind, that vast creative power within you, doesn't respond to words alone. It responds to the total impression you make upon it through thought, feeling, and most powerfully, through demonstration. Consider how your subconscious mind actually operates, processing thousands of signals every moment to determine what you truly believe versus what you merely hope. When your actions contradict your affirmations, when you affirm abundance while clutching every penny in fear, when you declare perfect health while constantly checking for symptoms, you send a mixed signal that cancels out your spiritual request. Your subconscious, being utterly literal and responsive to the strongest impression, will always believe your actions over your words, your demonstrations over your declarations. This is where active faith revolutionizes your spiritual practice, transforming it from mental gymnastics into living truth. Active faith is the deliberate act of creating a physical correspondence to your spiritual request, a tangible demonstration that impresses upon your subconscious mind the reality of what you seek. It's not about convincing the universe to give you something. The universe is already prepared to give you everything. It's about convincing yourself at the deepest level of being that you are ready to receive. Think of it this way. Every action you take is a vote for a particular reality, a declaration of what you expect to experience. When you prepare for lack, hoarding, and worrying, you vote for a reality of scarcity. When you prepare for abundance, making space and getting ready, you vote for a reality of plenty. Your subconscious mind tallies these votes constantly, and the majority always wins. Active faith ensures that your votes align with your desires rather than your fears. The power of this principle extends beyond mere positive thinking into the realm of neurological rewiring and energetic alignment. When you perform a physical act that corresponds to your desire, you create new neural pathways that support your vision rather than contradict it. You literally reshape your brain's default patterns, making it easier to maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This isn't mystical thinking. It's practical application of how consciousness and matter interact. Moreover, active faith serves as an anchor for your attention, constantly bringing you back to the reality you're creating rather than the reality you're leaving behind. Every time you see the physical preparation you've made, your mind is gently but firmly redirected to your chosen outcome. This consistent redirection is crucial because manifestation isn't a one-time event, but a sustained state of consciousness that eventually crystallizes into form. The beauty of Shinn's approach is that it doesn't require you to maintain perfect faith every moment of every day, an impossible standard that leads to frustration and self-judgment. Instead, it gives you a physical touchstone, a concrete reminder that keeps you aligned even when doubts creep in. Your act of preparation becomes a declaration that stands firm even when your thoughts waver, maintaining the energetic blueprint of your desire. This is why so many people fail despite their affirmations and visualizations. They create a beautiful mental picture, but then proceed to live as if that picture will never materialize. They pray for a partner but keep their life rigidly organized for solitude. They affirm wealth but continue every habit of poverty. They visualize health but prepare only for continued illness. The subconscious mind, witnessing this contradiction, simply maintains the status quo. Active faith breaks this pattern by requiring you to put skin in the game, to demonstrate through action that you're not just hoping, but expecting. This demonstration doesn't need to be grand or expensive. In fact, it shouldn't be. It needs only to be sincere, a genuine expression of your readiness to receive. When you make this demonstration, something shifts in the invisible realm. Doors that seemed locked suddenly swing open. The principle works because it aligns all levels of your being toward a single outcome. Your conscious mind chooses the action, your subconscious mind receives the impression, your emotional body feels the reality of preparation, and your physical body performs the act. This alignment creates a coherent energy field that magnetizes your desire, drawing it to you through channels you couldn't have predicted or planned. Furthermore, active faith protects you from the paralysis of perfectionism that plagues so many spiritual seekers. Instead of waiting until you achieve perfect belief, perfect feeling, perfect visualization, you simply take a small, symbolic action that moves you in the direction of your desire. This action generates momentum, and momentum generates more faith, creating an upward spiral of expectancy and manifestation. The subconscious mind is particularly responsive to symbolic acts because symbols are its native language. While the conscious mind deals in words and logic, the subconscious thinks in images, feelings, and symbols. When you perform a symbolic act of preparation, you speak directly to your subconscious in its own tongue, bypassing the critical factor that might otherwise reject or doubt your affirmation. This is not about tricking yourself or playing games with the universe. It's about understanding and working with the actual mechanisms, through which consciousness creates experience. Just as a gardener must prepare the soil before planting seeds, you must prepare your consciousness to receive what you've asked for. Active faith is that preparation, the tilling of mental soil that allows your desires to take root and flourish. Consider the profound wisdom embedded in this approach. Instead of begging the universe to prove itself to you, you prove yourself to the universe. Instead of demanding signs before you believe, you create signs that demonstrate your belief. This reversal of the usual dynamic transforms you from a passive recipient to an active co-creator, working in partnership with infinite intelligence rather than waiting for it to act upon you. The most powerful illustration of this principle comes from Shinn's brilliant use of the biblical story that she called digging your ditches, a metaphor so profound that it deserves deep contemplation. In ancient times, a great drought had devastated the land, leaving people desperate and faithless. The prophet Elisha delivered what seemed like absurd guidance: make this valley full of ditches. There was no sign of rain, not a cloud in the sky, no logical reason to expect water. Yet this act of digging ditches in a parched valley represents the ultimate expression of active faith. Imagine the scene more vividly: the scorching sun beating down on cracked earth, skeptics mocking the futility of the effort, every rational argument suggesting this was foolish waste of precious energy. Yet those who understood spiritual law knew they weren't just digging holes in the ground, they were creating vessels for divine provision. By preparing for the rain before any evidence of it appeared, they demonstrated a faith that transcended circumstances and entered the realm of creative power. This story reveals a cosmic principle that governs all manifestation. The universe fills only those vessels we prepare for it. Think about this deeply. You cannot receive what you're not ready to hold. If abundance arrived tomorrow but you had no mental, emotional, or physical space prepared for it, it would flow right past you like water over solid rock. The ditches represent your readiness, your capacity, your prepared space for receiving. The profound psychology behind this principle explains why so many prayers seem to go unanswered. People pray desperately for help, while simultaneously maintaining every structure of their problem. They ask for abundance while keeping their consciousness organized entirely around lack. They request healing while preparing only for continued illness. They seek love while maintaining all the barriers that keep intimacy at bay. Without ditches, even when the rain comes, there's nowhere for it to gather. But when you dig your ditches, when you prepare tangibly for your good, you create what Shinn called the vacuum that divine substance rushes to fill. This isn't merely positive thinking or wishful action. It's working with the actual laws that govern how consciousness precipitates into form. The universe abhors a vacuum, and when you create a prepared space with expectant faith, that space magnetically draws its fulfillment. Consider how this principle operates in everyday physics. Water always flows to the lowest point. Electricity follows the path of least resistance, and nature constantly seeks equilibrium. Similarly, your good flows naturally toward the space you've prepared for it. When you create a ditch, a physical and psychological readiness, you create an energetic depression that your desire naturally flows toward, following the path you've carved through your faith-filled action. The act of digging ditches also serves another crucial function. It occupies your conscious mind with constructive activity, while your subconscious does the real work of manifestation. Instead of sitting in anxiety, constantly checking for signs of your good's arrival, you channel that energy into preparation. This redirection of nervous energy into purposeful action creates a state of dynamic receptivity rather than anxious waiting. Moreover, the physical act of preparation sends ripples through the quantum field that surrounds and interpenetrates all things. Modern physics tells us that observation affects outcome, that consciousness collapses probability waves into specific realities. When you prepare for a specific outcome, you're not just hoping, you're actively collapsing probability waves in the direction of your desire through your focused intention and corresponding action. The biblical story continues with a detail that Shinn particularly emphasized. The ditches were filled not with rain, but with water that appeared mysteriously, flowing from an unexpected direction. This teaches us that when we prepare in faith, our good often comes through channels we never anticipated. The ditches, our preparation, determine what we receive, but the how and when remain the universe's domain. Our job is to prepare. The universe's job is to fill what we've prepared. This principle challenges the modern mindset that demands to see proof before taking action. We've been conditioned to require evidence, guarantees, and logical progression. But spiritual law operates in reverse. First comes the faith-filled action, then comes the evidence. First comes the preparation, then comes the fulfillment. First come the ditches, then comes the water. This reversal of ordinary logic is what makes active faith seem foolish to those who don't understand spiritual mechanics. The power of digging ditches lies also in its public declaration of faith. When you take physical action to prepare for your good, you're making a statement to yourself, to others, and to the universe about what you expect to receive. This declaration carries weight in the invisible realm, setting forces in motion that align circumstances for your benefit. It's a cosmic announcement that you're ready, willing, and expecting to receive. Furthermore, the act of digging ditches transforms waiting from passive to active, from hopeless to hopeful, from powerless to empowered. Instead of being a victim of circumstances, waiting for conditions to change, you become an active participant in creating those changes. This shift in identity, from victim to creator, is perhaps the most powerful aspect of active faith, as it aligns you with the creative principle of the universe itself. The story of the ditches also teaches us about collective faith and individual responsibility. While the prophet gave the instruction to all, each person had to dig their own ditches. Similarly, while spiritual principles are universal, each of us must do our own work of preparation. No one can dig your ditches for you. No one can prepare your consciousness but you. This personal responsibility is not a burden, but an empowerment, putting your destiny firmly in your own hands. When the water finally came in the biblical story, it filled every ditch that had been dug, no more, no less. This precise correspondence between preparation and receipt reveals another crucial truth. You receive exactly what you prepare for. Small preparation brings small results. Generous preparation brings generous results. The universe doesn't judge your worthiness. It simply fills the space you've created through your faith-filled action. The mindset required for active faith is one of joyful, childlike expectancy, a state of consciousness that combines playfulness with absolute certainty. This is not about testing the universe to see if spiritual laws really work. Such an attitude carries doubt at its core and will sabotage your efforts before you begin. Instead, you must approach this practice as a delightful game, a creative collaboration between you and infinite intelligence. The universe loves a joyful heart and responds most readily to those who approach life with the wonder and expectancy of a child preparing for a celebration they know is coming. To cultivate this mindset, you must first release any sense of desperation or neediness that might be clinging to your desire. Desperation is faith in reverse. It's actively believing in the absence of what you want, and it repels the very thing you seek. Instead, ask yourself this pivotal question. If my desire were to manifest tomorrow, what is one small thing I would do to get ready for it today? This question shifts you from wanting to having, from hoping to preparing, from future to present. It assumes success and asks only about the practical details of receiving. The power of this question lies in its presumption of success. You're not asking if, but how, not whether your good will come, but how you'll prepare for its arrival. This subtle shift in questioning creates a massive shift in consciousness, moving you from the frequency of doubt to the frequency of certainty. Your subconscious mind, always listening to the questions you ask, begins to organize itself around the assumption of success rather than the possibility of failure. Consider how different this approach is from the usual anxiety-ridden manifestation attempts where people oscillate between forced positivity and crushing doubt. Active faith sidesteps this exhausting cycle by giving you something concrete and enjoyable to do. Instead of trying to maintain perfect thoughts every moment, you simply ask yourself, what would be fun to do in preparation for your good? This transforms spiritual practice from a burden into a pleasure, from work into play. The childlike quality of this expectancy is crucial because children naturally live in a state of assumption. When a child prepares for their birthday party, they don't doubt whether the day will come. They simply ready themselves for the celebration. They pick out their outfit, plan their wishes, and prepare their space with absolute certainty that the special day is approaching. This is the quality of consciousness you want to embody, not naive or ignorant, but purely expectant without the contamination of adult cynicism. This mindset also requires you to release attachment to specific timelines while maintaining certainty about eventual fulfillment. Just as a child preparing for Christmas doesn't need to know exactly when the presents will appear under the tree, you prepare for your good without demanding it appear on your schedule. The preparation itself becomes an act of trust, a demonstration that you know your good is coming, even if you don't know exactly when or how. The joyful aspect of this expectancy cannot be overstated. Joy is the highest vibration, the frequency at which miracles occur most readily. When you prepare for your good with genuine happiness and excitement, you create an energetic environment that accelerates manifestation. The universe responds to joy like flowers respond to sunlight, opening, expanding, and offering their gifts freely. Your joyful preparation becomes a beacon that attracts your good across any distance. Moreover, this playful approach protects you from the trap of making manifestation too serious, too heavy, too important. When you treat active faith as a delightful game rather than a desperate measure, you maintain the lightness of being that allows energy to flow freely. Seriousness creates contraction. Playfulness creates expansion. Contraction blocks flow. Expansion allows it. By keeping your preparation light and enjoyable, you keep the channels open for your good to arrive. The expectancy you cultivate must be genuine, not forced. You cannot fake this feeling to the universe or to your own subconscious mind. This is why the preparation must be something that genuinely excites you, something that makes you smile when you think about it. If preparing for your good feels like a chore or an obligation, you're approaching it from the wrong state of consciousness. Return to the childlike wonder and find an aspect of preparation that genuinely delights you. This mindset also requires a certain spiritual maturity, the ability to hold paradox. You must be absolutely certain your good is coming while being completely unattached to when or how it arrives. You must prepare actively while remaining relaxed. You must expect definitely while remaining flexible. This paradoxical state of consciousness is what Shinn called relaxed expectancy, and it's the sweet spot where manifestation happens most easily. The preparation question, what would I do to get ready, also helps you identify any hidden resistance or unworthiness you might be carrying. If you find yourself unable to imagine preparing for your good, or if the thought of actually receiving it makes you uncomfortable, you've discovered an important block that needs addressing. The inability to imagine preparation reveals an inability to imagine receipt, and this must be healed before manifestation can occur. As you develop this mindset of joyful expectancy, you'll notice a shift in how you experience time. Instead of anxiously waiting for future good, you begin enjoying present preparation. The journey becomes as delightful as the destination. This shift is crucial because it means you're no longer postponing happiness until your desire manifests. You're experiencing happiness in the act of preparing for it. This present moment joy is magnetic to miracles. The childlike mindset also allows you to approach setbacks and delays with curiosity rather than despair. If your good doesn't arrive when expected, instead of concluding that the principle doesn't work, you simply adjust your preparation with the flexibility of a child adjusting their game. This resilience keeps you in the flow of active faith rather than falling back into passive hoping or active despair. Remember, too, that childlike doesn't mean childish. You're not being irresponsible or ignoring practical realities. You're simply choosing to approach your spiritual practice with the freshness, wonder, and expectancy that children naturally possess. This is a conscious choice to reclaim the magical thinking that you were taught to abandon, recognizing that what adults call magical thinking is often just alignment with spiritual law. The universe responds to this mindset with particular generosity because it reflects the consciousness of creation itself. The creative principle of the universe is inherently joyful, playful, and expectant of good. When you align with these qualities, you align with the fundamental force that creates worlds. Your small act of joyful preparation becomes part of the grand creative dance of existence. This mindset must be protected and nurtured like a tender flame. The world will offer you countless reasons to abandon joyful expectancy in favor of worried planning or cynical resignation. You must consciously choose, again and again, to maintain the consciousness of a child preparing for a wonderful surprise. This choice, repeated daily through your acts of preparation, gradually becomes your default state of being. The question, "What would I do to get ready?" becomes a powerful daily practice, a way of constantly realigning yourself with expectancy rather than doubt. Each morning, you can ask yourself this question about your various desires and find one small way to prepare. This keeps you in constant creative collaboration with the universe, always preparing for good, always ready to receive. Finally, this mindset of joyful expectancy is contagious. Others will notice your unusual approach to life, your strange confidence in unseen good, your peculiar habit of preparing for things that haven't appeared yet. Some will mock, but others will be inspired. Your active faith becomes a demonstration that lifts others into possibility, showing them through your example that there's another way to live beyond fear and doubt. Now we arrive at the practical execution of active faith, breaking down this powerful method into clear, actionable steps that anyone can follow. The first step is to clarify your request with laser precision, moving beyond vague wishes to specific, clear desires. You cannot prepare for something good any more than you can pack for somewhere nice. The universe responds to clarity with clarity, to precision with precision. If you desire a new job, specify the kind of work, the environment, the feeling it will give you. If you seek a loving partner, clarify the qualities, the connection, the shared life you envision. This clarification is not about limiting the universe or demanding things happen exactly as you imagine. Rather, it's about giving your subconscious mind and the universal intelligence a clear template to work with. Think of it as providing a clear address for delivery rather than hoping your package finds you somehow. The clearer your request, the more specific your preparation can be, and the more powerful the impression on your subconscious mind. Vagueness in desire leads to vagueness in result. Clarity in desire leads to clarity in manifestation. Take time with this clarification process as it forms the foundation of everything that follows. Write down your desire in detail, not as a wish list for the universe, but as a clarification for yourself. What exactly are you preparing to receive? How will you know when it has arrived? What specific form would delight you while remaining open to something even better? This written clarification becomes your blueprint, your architectural plan for the reality you're constructing through active faith. Once your desire is crystal clear, move to the second step, determining the symbolic action that will serve as your act of preparation. This is where creativity meets intuition, where you translate spiritual desire into physical readiness. Brainstorm small, meaningful acts that would naturally precede receiving your desire. If you seek a new job, perhaps you buy a few new hangers for the professional clothes you'll wear, or a beautiful pen for signing your new contract. These acts must feel symbolically connected to your desire without being financially or practically burdensome. The key word here is symbolic. Your act doesn't need to be literally necessary, just meaningfully connected in your mind. If you desire a loving partner, clearing out a drawer in your dresser for their belongings is a powerful symbolic act. It says to your subconscious, "I am making space for love. I expect someone to share my life so certainly that I'm reorganizing my physical space to accommodate them." This symbolic preparation speaks louder than 1,000 affirmations because it demonstrates faith through action. If wealth is your desire, consider buying a new high-quality wallet, not an expensive one that strains your current resources, but one that feels abundant to you, one that would be worthy of holding the money you expect to receive. Every time you handle this wallet, even if it's currently empty, you're reinforcing the consciousness of wealth. You're telling your subconscious, I am preparing to handle money with respect and appreciation. I am ready for abundance. The symbolic action you choose should excite you, should make you smile when you think about it. If it feels heavy, obligatory, or forced, keep brainstorming until you find something that sparks genuine enthusiasm. Remember, this is a joyful game of preparation, not a somber ritual. The universe responds to the energy behind the action, not just the action itself. A small act performed with genuine delight is infinitely more powerful than a grand gesture made from obligation. Now comes the crucial third step, performing the act with feeling, embodying the emotional state of the wish fulfilled as you take your symbolic action. As you place those new hangers in your closet, don't just go through the motions mechanically. Feel the excitement of your first day at the new job. Imagine selecting which outfit to wear. Feel the confidence of knowing you're valued and appreciated. As you clear that drawer for your future partner, feel their loving presence already with you. Imagine the intimate moment of showing them the space you've prepared, the smile on their face when they realize you were preparing for them before you even met. This feeling component is absolutely essential. It's what transforms a simple physical action into a powerful act of creation. Your subconscious mind responds primarily to feeling and imagery, not to words or logic. When you combine a physical action with the corresponding feeling of fulfillment, you create an impression that bypasses all intellectual doubt and plants itself directly in the fertile soil of your creative subconscious. This is why Shinn emphasized that feeling is the secret. It's the animating force that brings your preparation to life. The feeling must be genuine, which is why the symbolic act must be something that naturally evokes the right emotion in you. You cannot force feeling any more than you can force laughter. It must arise naturally from an action that genuinely connects you to your desire. This is why personalization is so important. What works as a symbolic act for one person might feel empty to another. Trust your intuition to guide you to the perfect act of preparation for your unique situation. As you perform your symbolic act, engage all your senses in the experience. If you're buying that wallet for future wealth, feel its texture, smell the leather, appreciate its craftsmanship. If you're clearing space for a partner, notice how the empty drawer looks. Imagine their belongings filling it, perhaps even speak aloud to the space. This is for you, my love. I'm preparing for your arrival. This multisensory engagement deepens the impression on your subconscious and strengthens the bridge between current reality and desired outcome. The execution should be done with a sense of ceremony, not because the universe requires ritual, but because your subconscious mind responds to significance. When you treat your act of preparation as important and meaningful, your deeper mind receives the message that something significant is happening. This doesn't mean making it complicated or elaborate. Simple acts done with presence and intention carry more weight than elaborate preparations done mindlessly. After performing your symbolic act, document the experience in some way. Write in your journal about how it felt to prepare for your good. Take a photo of the space you've cleared or the item you've purchased. This documentation serves multiple purposes. It reinforces the act in your memory, provides a record you can return to for encouragement, and demonstrates to your subconscious that this was significant enough to commemorate. The timing of your symbolic act matters as well. Choose a moment when you can be fully present, not rushed or distracted. This might be a quiet Sunday morning, a peaceful evening, or any time when you can give your full attention to the act of preparation. The universe responds to presence, and your subconscious mind records more deeply those actions, taken with full awareness rather than those squeezed between other activities. It's also powerful to perform your symbolic act when you're already in a good emotional state. Don't wait until you're desperate or depressed to prepare for your good. That energy will contaminate the act. Instead, choose a moment when you're feeling relatively positive, hopeful, or at least neutral. If necessary, spend a few minutes beforehand appreciating what's already good in your life, raising your vibration before you perform your act of active faith. The execution can be repeated and expanded over time. Once you've performed your initial symbolic act, You might find other small ways to prepare. If you've cleared a drawer for your partner, perhaps you also buy a second coffee mug for morning conversations. If you've bought hangers for your new job, perhaps you also clear a space on your bookshelf for professional development books. These additional acts build momentum, each one strengthening the impression of expectancy in your subconscious mind. Remember that the execution is not about perfection, but about sincere demonstration. Your symbolic act doesn't need to be Instagram-worthy or impressive to others. It needs only to be meaningful to you, a genuine expression of your readiness to receive. Sometimes the smallest, most private acts of preparation carry the most power because they're done purely for the sake of alignment, not for appearance or approval. As you execute your symbolic act, be aware that you're participating in an ancient practice that mystics and manifestors have used throughout history. From athletes who visualize victory while training, to entrepreneurs who lease office space before landing their first client, to artists who prepare gallery walls before creating their masterpieces, active faith has always been the bridge between vision and reality. You're joining a lineage of creators who understood that preparation precedes manifestation. The execution phase is also where you might encounter internal resistance. As you prepare to clear that drawer or buy that wallet, voices of doubt might arise. This is silly. What if nothing happens? I can't afford to waste space or money on wishes. Acknowledge these voices without fighting them, then proceed with your preparation anyway. The act of moving forward despite doubt is itself an act of faith that weakens doubt's hold on your consciousness. Finally, execute your symbolic act with the understanding that you're not trying to force or manipulate outcomes. You're simply aligning your physical reality with your spiritual vision, creating coherence between what you say you want and how you actually live. This alignment is what allows the universe to deliver your good through the path of least resistance, flowing naturally into the space you've prepared with such faith and expectancy. After your symbolic act is complete, the post-technique phase begins, a crucial period that determines whether your preparation bears fruit or withers from neglect. The first principle of this phase is release. Once you've performed your act of preparation, you must let it go. This doesn't mean forgetting about your desire or abandoning your faith. It means releasing the anxious grip of desperation and allowing your preparation to work its magic without constant interference. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust the process while maintaining appropriate care. Every time you encounter your symbol, those hangers in the closet, that empty drawer, that special wallet, let it serve as a gentle, confident reminder that your good is on its way. These encounters should evoke a smile of recognition, a moment of, "Oh yes, I'm prepared for my blessing," rather than anxiety about when it will arrive. The symbol becomes a physical anchor for your faith, constantly but gently returning your consciousness to the state of expectancy without forcing or strain. It's a whisper, not a shout, a reminder, not a demand. The power of these gentle reminders cannot be overstated. Throughout your day, as you go about your normal activities, you'll naturally encounter your symbol. Each encounter is an opportunity for your subconscious to receive the impression again, "We are ready, we are expecting, it is done." These repeated impressions, delivered without force or desperation, gradually reshape your subconscious landscape, replacing patterns of lack with patterns of expectancy. The symbol becomes a beacon of faith in your environment. This post-technique phase requires a delicate balance between remembering and releasing. You want to maintain awareness of your preparation without obsessing over it. You want to feel expectant without becoming impatient. This balance is achieved by treating your symbol as you would treat a planted garden. You know growth is happening. You occasionally tend to it, but you don't stand over it demanding immediate results. The universe works in its own timing, and your job is to maintain readiness, not to control the schedule. During this phase, you might be tempted to tell others about your symbolic act, to share your preparation as a way of making it feel more real. Shinn strongly cautioned against this impulse. Your act of faith is sacred, a private communication between you and the universe. When you share it with skeptics or even well-meaning friends who might inject doubt, You risk contaminating the pure faith you've cultivated. Protect your vision as you would protect a flame in the wind, carefully, consciously, and with appropriate boundaries. If someone notices your preparation and asks about it, you can be truthfully vague. If they see the empty drawer and ask why it's cleared, you might simply say, "I'm making some changes," or "I like having some open space." You're under no obligation to explain your spiritual practices to those who wouldn't understand or support them. This isn't about secrecy or shame. It's about protecting the delicate seedling of faith from the harsh winds of others' doubts and judgments. The post-technique phase is also when synchronicities often begin to appear. You might encounter unexpected opportunities related to your desire, meet people who can help, or receive information that guides you toward your good. These synchronicities are signs that your active faith is working, that the universe is responding to your preparation. Acknowledge them with gratitude but without grasping. They're encouraging signals, not the final destination. Let them strengthen your faith without making you impatient for the full manifestation. During this time, maintain your normal life while holding space for change. Don't put everything on hold waiting for your manifestation. Continue with your daily activities, your work, your relationships, but with an underlying awareness that shift is coming. This continuation of normal life while expecting change is itself an act of faith. It demonstrates that you trust the universe's timing and don't need to force or rush the process. You're prepared but not paralyzed, expectant but not inactive. It's important during the post-technique phase to resist the temptation to add more and more symbolic acts out of impatience or doubt. If you feel genuinely inspired to add another layer of preparation, do so joyfully. But if you're adding more acts because you're worried the first one didn't work, you're operating from doubt rather than faith. One sincere act of preparation is more powerful than dozens of desperate gestures. Quality of faith matters more than quantity of action. This phase might last days, weeks, or even months, and maintaining faith throughout requires spiritual stamina. When doubt creeps in, and it will, return to your symbol not with desperation, but with gentle reaffirmation. Touch those hangers and remember the feeling of preparing for your new position. Look at that empty drawer and reconnect with the love you're preparing to receive. Handle that wallet and feel the abundance that's making its way to you. These moments of reconnection are like adding fuel to a fire. They keep your faith burning bright. You might also find it helpful during this phase to create a simple affirmation that accompanies your symbol. When you see or touch your preparation, you might silently say, "Thank you for what's on its way," or "I am ready to receive," or simply, "It is done." This affirmation should feel natural and true to you, not forced or false. It's a gentle acknowledgement of the reality you're creating, a small celebration of the preparation you've made. The post-technique phase is also when you might encounter tests of faith. Circumstances might appear to move in the opposite direction of your desire. The job market might seem to dry up just when you're preparing for your new position. Your life might feel more solitary just when you're preparing for partnership. These apparent contradictions are often the darkness before the dawn, the universe's way of clearing out the old to make room for the new. Hold steady in your faith, knowing that your preparation has set forces in motion that transcend appearances. During this time, pay attention to your dreams, as the subconscious often processes and confirms your active faith through dream symbolism. You might dream of receiving your desire, of being in the situation you're preparing for, or of symbols related to fulfillment and completion. These dreams are your subconscious mind's way of showing you that the impression has been received and is being processed into manifestation. Welcome these dreams as confirmation that your inner work is progressing. It's also valuable during the post-technique phase to occasionally revisit the feeling of your initial preparation. Close your eyes and remember the moment you performed your symbolic act, the excitement you felt, the certainty that filled you. This remembrance isn't about repeating the act, but about refreshing the feeling, keeping it alive and vibrant in your consciousness. The feeling is the power, and maintaining some connection to it keeps your manifestation energized. As days pass, you might notice subtle internal shifts. You might find yourself naturally thinking and acting as someone who expects good rather than problems. Your default assumptions might shift from probably not to probably so. These internal changes are often the first signs that your active faith is working, reshaping you from the inside out to become someone who naturally attracts and receives your desire. Welcome these shifts as evidence of transformation. The post-technique phase ultimately teaches you to live in a state of prepared expectancy, a way of being that extends beyond any single desire or manifestation. You learn to move through life as someone who is always preparing for good, always ready to receive blessings, always expecting the universe to deliver wonderful surprises. This becomes not just a technique, but a way of life, a fundamental orientation toward existence that assumes beneficence rather than lack. Remember that during this phase, your good is making its way to you through channels you cannot see or predict. Behind the scenes, circumstances are shifting, connections are forming, and opportunities are aligning. Your job is not to figure out how this is happening, but to maintain the consciousness of someone preparing to receive. Stay in the energy of preparation and expectancy, and let the universe handle the logistics of delivery. Finally, understand that the post-technique phase is not passive waiting but active receiving. Every day you maintain your faith, every time you smile at your symbol, every moment you choose expectancy over doubt, you're actively participating in the creation of your new reality. You're not waiting for something to happen to you. You're actively creating the consciousness in which your desire naturally appears. This is the deepest secret of active faith. It transforms you into someone for whom the desire is natural and inevitable. Now we must address the fatal mistakes that can completely sabotage your active faith, turning what should be a powerful demonstration into an empty gesture. The first and most devastating mistake, the one I promise to reveal, is acting from a consciousness of lack rather than abundance. If you buy that wallet while thinking, "I hope this silly trick works because I'm so broke," you have just sent a powerful signal of fear, not faith. The feeling behind your act is everything. It's the electrical current that either powers your manifestation or short-circuits it entirely. This mistake is so common because people often turn to spiritual techniques when they're desperate, when the lack feels overwhelming and urgent. But here's the crucial understanding. The universe doesn't respond to the action itself, but to the consciousness behind it. When you prepare for abundance while feeling poverty, you're actually reinforcing poverty. When you clear space for love while feeling desperately lonely, you're amplifying loneliness. The subconscious mind reads the feeling, not the gesture, and it's the feeling that becomes your point of attraction. Think of it this way. If you smile while feeling miserable inside, do you suddenly become happy? Of course not. The smile is empty because it lacks the corresponding internal state. Similarly, an act of preparation performed from desperation is like a smile without joy. It might look right on the surface, but it carries no transformative power. The universe reads energy, not appearances, and desperate energy attracts more circumstances that create desperation, regardless of what physical actions you take. The solution is not to wait until you feel abundant before preparing for abundance. That would defeat the purpose. Instead, you must find a way to shift into a state of genuine expectancy before performing your symbolic act. This might mean waiting a day or two until desperation subsides, or spending time appreciating what you already have before preparing for more. You cannot fake this feeling to the universe, but you can consciously cultivate it through focus and appreciation. Before performing your symbolic act, ask yourself honestly, am I doing this from faith or from fear? Am I preparing to receive or trying to force something to happen? If you detect fear or force, pause. Spend time visualizing your desire as already fulfilled, feeling the relief and joy of having received it. Only when you can touch that feeling of fulfillment should you perform your act of preparation. This ensures that your action carries the right energetic signature, the frequency that attracts rather than repels. The second fatal mistake is overextending yourself in an attempt to prove your faith. Some people, in their enthusiasm or desperation, take symbolic preparation to dangerous extremes. They buy expensive items they cannot afford, quit jobs before new ones appear, or make drastic life changes based on hoped-for manifestations. This is not faith, It's recklessness disguised as spirituality. True active faith requires only small, symbolic gestures that demonstrate readiness without creating additional stress or lack. Remember, buying a single brick for your dream house is an act of faith that impresses your subconscious with your expectancy. Taking out a crippling loan you cannot afford is an act of fear and desperation that will block your manifestation and create additional problems. The universe doesn't require grand gestures or financial sacrifice. It requires sincere demonstration of expectancy, which can be accomplished through the smallest meaningful action. The key is to keep your symbolic act within the realm of comfortable possibility. If buying a new wallet would mean skipping meals, buy a small wallet organizer instead. If clearing a whole closet for your future partner feels overwhelming, start with just one drawer or even one shelf. The size of the gesture doesn't determine its power, the consciousness behind it does. A tiny act performed with genuine faith is infinitely more powerful than a grand gesture made from fear or strain. This mistake often stems from a misunderstanding of how spiritual law works. People think they need to prove their faith to the universe through sacrifice or risk. But the universe doesn't test your faith through hardship. You test your own faith through doubt. The universe simply responds to your dominant consciousness, and if your act of preparation creates anxiety or hardship, you're cultivating a consciousness of strain rather than ease, of lack rather than abundance. The third fatal mistake is explaining your actions to doubters or skeptics. When you've performed your symbolic act with genuine faith and excitement, it's natural to want to share this feeling with others. But Shinn was adamant about protecting your vision from the poison of others' doubts. When you tell a skeptical friend that you've cleared a drawer for your non-existent partner, their raised eyebrow, their subtle smirk, their realistic advice, all of this can contaminate the pure faith you've cultivated. Even well-meaning friends and family can inadvertently sabotage your active faith with their concern and practicality. They might say things like, "Don't get your hopes up," or "It's good to be prepared but don't expect too much," or the deadly, "I just don't want to see you get hurt." These statements, however kindly intended, are seeds of doubt that can take root in your subconscious and choke out the tender shoots of faith you've planted. The protection of your vision is not about secrecy or shame. It's about spiritual hygiene. You wouldn't expose a newborn baby to harsh weather, and you shouldn't expose your newborn faith to harsh skepticism. Your active faith needs time to strengthen and mature before it can withstand the winds of others' doubts. Keep your symbolic acts private, your preparation personal, and your expectancy protected. If you've already made this mistake and shared your preparation with someone who responded with doubt, you must consciously clear that energy. Reaffirm to yourself that their doubt is about their own limitations, not yours. Perform a mental cleansing where you imagine their doubtful words dissolving like mist in sunlight. Then reconnect with your own faith, perhaps by revisiting your symbolic act with renewed conviction. Don't let their inability to believe contaminate your ability to receive. Another variation of this mistake is seeking validation or approval for your symbolic acts. You might find yourself wanting others to confirm that you're doing it right, or that your choice of symbolic act is good enough. This seeking of external validation reveals an internal doubt that will weaken your manifestation. The only validation you need comes from your own inner knowing, your own sense of rightness about your preparation. Trust yourself and your connection to infinite intelligence. There's also a subtle form of this mistake, where people perform their symbolic acts in public specifically to be seen, thinking that witnesses somehow make it more real or powerful. They clear space ostentatiously, buy items dramatically, or prepare in ways designed to attract attention. This performance for others actually diminishes the power of the act because it shifts the focus from internal transformation to external appearance. Your active faith is between you and the universe. It needs no audience. A fourth mistake, equally fatal, is treating active faith as a one-time magic trick rather than a sustained practice of consciousness. Some people perform their symbolic act and then immediately return to their old patterns of thought and behavior, expecting the single act to override years of contradictory consciousness. They prepare the space, but then fill their minds with doubt. They buy the wallet, but continue to affirm poverty. They clear the drawer but maintain all their barriers to intimacy. Active faith is not a vaccination that provides permanent immunity to doubt. It's more like exercise that requires consistency to maintain its benefits. Your symbolic act initiates a shift in consciousness, but you must nurture and maintain that shift through continued alignment. This doesn't mean repeating the act obsessively, but it does mean maintaining the consciousness of someone who has prepared for and expects to receive their good. Finally, there's the mistake of performing symbolic acts from a place of superstition rather than understanding. Some people treat active faith like a magical ritual where specific actions guarantee specific results. They become rigid about their symbols, fearful of doing it wrong, or obsessed with finding the perfect symbolic act. This superstitious approach misses the entire point. The act is simply a tool for shifting consciousness. It has no power in itself. The power lies in the consciousness it helps you cultivate. To master active faith and avoid these pitfalls, Shinn provided powerful tools and affirmations that align your consciousness with the creative principle of the universe. Her most potent affirmation for this practice deserves to be written in gold. I am preparing now for the good which I have asked for, and I give thanks it has now come to pass. This statement is a masterpiece of spiritual technology, combining present moment action with future certainty, preparation with gratitude, asking with receiving. When you speak these words while performing or contemplating your symbolic act, you create a bridge between desire and fulfillment. The power of this affirmation lies in its multiple layers of truth. First, I am preparing now acknowledges your active participation in creation, your willingness to demonstrate faith through action. You're not passively waiting, but actively preparing, taking responsibility for your part in the manifestation process. This statement alone shifts you from victim consciousness to creator consciousness, from hoping things happen to you to participating in making them happen. The phrase "for the good which I have asked for" clarifies that you're not preparing randomly, but specifically for what you've requested from the universe. This maintains focus and prevents your energy from scattering across multiple desires. It also implies that you've already asked, that your request has been made and heard, and now you're simply preparing to receive the answer. This assumption of having been heard is itself an act of faith that strengthens your expectancy. The conclusion, "and I give thanks it has now come to pass," is perhaps the most powerful element. By giving thanks in present tense for future receipt, you collapse time and bring the fulfillment into the eternal now. Gratitude is the highest form of faith because it assumes receipt so completely that appreciation has already begun. When you can genuinely thank the universe for what hasn't yet appeared in physical form, you've achieved the consciousness in which manifestation becomes inevitable. Use this affirmation not as a meaningless repetition, but as a conscious alignment tool. Speak it when you perform your symbolic act, when you encounter your symbol throughout the day, and especially when doubt tries to creep in. Let each word resonate through your being, feeling its truth rather than just thinking it. The affirmation works not through repetition, but through the consciousness it evokes. One heartfelt speaking of these words is worth more than 1,000 mechanical repetitions. Another powerful tool Shinn recommended is what she called acting as if, in small, sustainable ways throughout your day. This doesn't mean pretending or lying to yourself or others. It means making choices from the consciousness of someone who expects to receive their good. If you're preparing for abundance, you might choose the slightly better option at the grocery store. Not overspending, but demonstrating that you're not locked in poverty consciousness. If you're preparing for love, you might make decisions considering how they'd affect a partner, naturally including them in your future planning. This acting as if principle extends to your self-talk and internal dialogue. Begin to speak to yourself as someone who is preparing for good rather than preventing disaster. Instead of "I hope this works out," try "I'm getting ready for this to work out beautifully." Instead of "if I get the job," say "when I start my new position." These subtle linguistic shifts might seem small, but they reshape your subconscious landscape, replacing patterns of doubt with patterns of expectancy. Shinn also taught the power of what she called divine indifference, the ability to want your desire without needing it, to prepare for it without depending on it for your happiness. This paradoxical state is achieved by recognizing that your good can come in many forms, and while you're preparing for one specific form, you remain open to something even better. This openness prevents the desperate grasping that blocks manifestation while maintaining the focused preparation that attracts it. To cultivate divine indifference, regularly remind yourself, "This or something better is making its way to me now." This statement maintains your specific preparation while releasing attachment to exact outcomes. It tells the universe you're ready for your good in whatever form serves your highest benefit. This flexibility often results in receiving something far superior to what you originally imagined, because the universe's imagination exceeds our own. Another master tip is to create what Shinn called a faith anchor, a physical reminder that returns you to expectancy when doubt arises. This might be a small object you carry, a photo on your phone, or a brief phrase you've written where you'll see it daily. This anchor is different from your symbolic act. It's a portable reminder that you can access anywhere, anytime. When worry or doubt begins to spiral, your faith anchor immediately returns you to the consciousness of someone who has already prepared for their good. Shinn also emphasized the importance of celebrating small signs of movement toward your desire. If you're preparing for a new job and receive an unexpected call from a recruiter, celebrate this as evidence that your active faith is working. If you're preparing for love and have a meaningful conversation with a stranger, acknowledge this as a sign that connection is flowing toward you. These celebrations aren't about grasping at straws, but about recognizing and appreciating the universe's response to your preparation. The practice of spiritual house cleaning is another powerful tool. Regularly clear your mental and emotional space of doubts, fears, and contradictory beliefs, just as you would clear physical space for your good. This might involve journaling your fears and then ceremonially releasing them, or spending time each morning affirming your readiness to receive. Think of it as maintaining the spiritual equivalent of the space you've physically prepared, keeping it clean, clear, and ready for occupation. Shinn taught that every night before sleep, you should review your day through the lens of active faith. Did your actions align with someone preparing to receive their good? Did your words reflect expectancy or doubt? This isn't about self-judgment, but about conscious awareness and gentle course correction. Each night, you can realign with your faith, preparing your subconscious mind to work on your behalf while you sleep. A particularly powerful technique is to write a thank you letter to the universe for your manifestation before it appears. Date it in the future and write from the perspective of having received your desire. Describe how it came to pass, how it felt to receive it, and how grateful you are for the perfect unfolding. This exercise combines visualization, gratitude, and active faith into a single powerful practice that impresses your subconscious with the reality of your fulfillment. Shinn also recommended finding what she called faith partners, not people to whom you reveal your specific preparations, but those who understand and practice these principles themselves. These partners can offer encouragement without needing details, supporting your faith without endangering it through doubt. They understand the language of expectancy and can remind you of truth when you temporarily forget. Remember to apply the principle of active faith to multiple areas of life simultaneously. While you might have one primary desire you're preparing for, you can also make small preparations in other areas. This creates a general consciousness of expectancy and receipt that permeates your entire life. You become someone who is always preparing for good, always ready to receive blessings, always expecting wonderful surprises. Finally, Shinn's ultimate master tip was to make active faith a way of being rather than a technique to use occasionally. She taught that life itself should be lived in a state of constant preparation for good. Every action becomes an act of faith, every preparation a demonstration of expectancy. This doesn't mean constantly performing symbolic acts, but rather maintaining the consciousness of someone who knows good things are always making their way to them. The principle of active faith that Florence Scovel Shinn taught nearly a century ago now finds remarkable validation in modern psychological research, particularly in the field of embodied cognition. This scientific framework reveals that our physical actions and environment directly influence our cognitive and emotional states, exactly what Shinn intuited through spiritual practice. When you perform a physical act of preparation, you're not merely faking it or engaging in wishful thinking. You're literally rewiring your neural pathways to support the reality you're creating. Embodied cognition research shows that the brain doesn't simply send commands to the body. The body also sends powerful signals back to the brain that shape our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. When you clear a drawer for your future partner, your brain receives the physical signal that partnership is expected and begins to organize your perception and behavior accordingly. This bidirectional communication between body and mind is the scientific explanation for why active faith works so powerfully. It engages both channels simultaneously. Consider the fascinating studies on power posing, where researchers found that simply holding a confident physical posture for 2 minutes significantly increased testosterone and decreased cortisol, creating genuine biochemical confidence. Similarly, when you perform acts of preparation for your good, you're not just changing your posture, but your entire orientation toward life. Your body tells your brain, "We are someone who expects good things," and your brain responds by adjusting your neurochemistry to match this expectation. The neuroscience of expectation reveals another layer of validation for active faith. When we expect something positive, our brains release dopamine, not just when we receive the reward, but in anticipation of it. This anticipatory dopamine creates a positive feedback loop. The more we expect good, the better we feel, and the better we feel, the more we attract positive experiences. Your symbolic act of preparation triggers this anticipatory dopamine, creating the neurochemical environment in which manifestation thrives. Furthermore, the reticular activating system, RAS, in your brain, which filters the massive amount of information you encounter daily, is programmed by your dominant thoughts and expectations. When you perform active faith, you're essentially programming your RAS to notice opportunities, connections, and resources related to your desire. That empty drawer becomes a constant instruction to your brain. Notice anything related to partnership. This is important to us now. The psychological principle of cognitive dissonance also supports active faith. When your actions, preparing for good, don't match your current reality, the absence of that good, your mind experiences discomfort. To resolve this dissonance, your subconscious works overtime to align reality with your actions. This isn't mystical, it's the documented way human psychology maintains internal consistency. Your mind literally cannot tolerate the contradiction and works to resolve it in favor of your demonstrated expectation. Research on implementation intentions provides another scientific parallel to active faith. Studies show that people who create specific if-then plans for their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them. When you prepare for your good, you're creating a physical if-then scenario. If my desire is coming, then I need this preparation. This concrete planning engages the brain's executive function and makes the abstract goal feel concrete and achievable. The field of environmental psychology demonstrates that our physical space profoundly influences our mental state and behavior. When you alter your environment to prepare for your good, clearing space, adding symbols of expectancy, you create what researchers call behavioral settings that naturally evoke certain thoughts and actions. Your prepared space becomes a constant environmental cue that reinforces your expectancy and guides your behavior toward your desired outcome. The placebo effect, often dismissed as just psychological, actually demonstrates the profound power of expectation to create physical change. Studies show that placebos can trigger real physiological healing, not through the inert substance, but through the power of belief and expectation. Active faith operates on similar principles. Your expectation, made tangible through preparation, triggers real changes in your neurology, psychology, and consequently, your external reality. Mirror neuron research adds another dimension to our understanding. These specialized brain cells fire both when we perform an action and when we observe or imagine that action. When you prepare for your good, repeatedly engaging with your symbol of preparation, You're activating mirror neurons that help your brain rehearse the reality of receiving. This neural rehearsal makes the imagined future feel increasingly real and achievable, reducing the psychological distance between current reality and desired outcome. The science of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself throughout life, validates the transformative power of sustained active faith. Each time you engage with your preparation, each moment you choose expectancy over doubt, you're strengthening neural pathways associated with positive expectation and weakening those associated with lack and limitation. Over time, optimistic expectancy becomes your default neural setting rather than an effortful choice. Studies on prospective memory, remembering to perform intended actions in the future, show that physical cues significantly improve follow-through. Your symbolic preparation serves as a prospective memory aid, constantly reminding you not just of your desire, but of your commitment to receiving it. This external memory support frees your cognitive resources from constantly trying to remember your intention, allowing you to focus on recognizing and pursuing opportunities. The psychological concept of commitment devices also illuminates why active faith works. When we take concrete actions that commit us to a future course, we're more likely to follow through. Your act of preparation is a commitment device that makes backing out psychologically costly. Having prepared for your good, abandoning expectancy would create psychological discomfort that your mind naturally avoids by maintaining faith. Research on visualization versus implementation imagery reveals something crucial. Imagining the process of achieving a goal is more effective than just imagining the outcome. Active faith combines both. You imagine the outcome while physically implementing preparation. This combination engages multiple brain systems simultaneously, creating a more robust neural network supporting your manifestation than either approach alone. The field of 4E cognition, which sees cognition as embodied, embedded, extended, and inactive, provides a comprehensive framework for understanding active faith. Your preparation embodies your intention, embeds it in your environment, extends your mind into physical space, and enacts the future you're creating. This isn't just thinking about change, it's living into it with your entire being. Social psychology research on behavioral confirmation shows that our expectations about future events influence our behavior in ways that make those expectations more likely to come true. When you prepare for good, you unconsciously begin to behave in ways that attract that good. You stand taller when you've prepared for success, speak more confidently when you've prepared for abundance, and radiate more warmth when you've prepared for love. The timeless wisdom of active faith comes alive through stories of transformation, beginning with one of Florence Scovel Shinn's most famous accounts that perfectly illustrates the power of preparation. She wrote of a woman who desperately wanted to travel to Europe but had no money for the journey. Following Shinn's guidance, instead of focusing on her lack of funds, the woman went out and bought a travel trunk, not an expensive one, but a simple trunk that represented her readiness to travel. She placed it in her room where she would see it daily, each glance reinforcing her expectancy of the trip. What happened next seemed miraculous, but was actually the natural result of aligned consciousness. Within weeks, the woman received an unexpected invitation from a wealthy friend who needed a traveling companion for a European tour, all expenses paid. The trunk she had purchased in faith was soon packed with her belongings as she embarked on the exact journey she had envisioned. The universe had filled the vessel she had prepared, delivering her desire through a channel she never could have predicted or planned. This story reveals a crucial truth about active faith. The universe often delivers our good through unexpected channels once we've demonstrated our readiness to receive. The woman didn't know how she would get to Europe. She simply prepared as if it were certain. Her preparation created an energetic opening that attracted the perfect opportunity. Had she not bought that trunk, had she not demonstrated her faith through action, would the invitation have come? Perhaps, but would she have been psychologically ready to accept it? Let me share a modern equivalent that demonstrates how this principle operates in our contemporary world. A struggling writer had been battling creative block for months, unable to complete the novel she'd started years earlier. Inspired by the principle of active faith, she decided to prepare for the completion and success of her book. She went to a stationery store and bought a beautiful, expensive pen, not for writing the book, but specifically for signing her future publishing contract and books at her first signing event. She placed the pen in a special box on her desk, where she would see it every time she sat down to write. But here's the key. She didn't just buy the pen and wait. The pen became a symbol of her commitment, a physical reminder that she was no longer someone trying to write a book, but someone preparing to publish one. Every time she saw that pen, she felt a surge of certainty that her book would be completed and published. The pen transformed her identity from struggling writer to soon-to-be published author. Within days of purchasing the pen, something shifted in her creative flow. The words that had been stuck for months began to pour out. The pen had not magically improved her writing ability, but it had transformed her consciousness from one of struggle to one of expectancy. She was no longer fighting against creative block, but preparing for creative success. 6 months later, she used that very pen to sign her first publishing contract, and a year after that she signed books at her launch event with the same pen that had initiated her transformation. Another powerful example comes from a man who had been seeking meaningful employment for over a year. Despite numerous applications and interviews, nothing materialized. Learning about active faith, he decided to prepare for his ideal position, even though there was no indication it was coming. He bought 5 new hangers, high-quality wooden ones, specifically for the work clothes he would wear at his new job. He cleared a section of his closet and hung these empty hangers there, creating a void that demanded to be filled. Every morning when he opened his closet, those empty hangers reminded him that he was not unemployed, but rather in transition, preparing for the position that was making its way to him. The hangers shifted his energy from desperation to preparation. Instead of waking with dread about another day of job searching, he woke with curiosity about how his preparation would be fulfilled. Within 3 weeks, he received a call about a position he hadn't even applied for. A former colleague had recommended him for a role that perfectly matched his skills and desires. Consider the story of a woman preparing for partnership after years of solitude. She had tried dating apps, social events, and endless self-improvement, all while maintaining an underlying belief that love had passed her by. Discovering active faith, she chose a different approach. She cleared out half of her dresser, not dramatically or desperately, but with the calm certainty of someone preparing for a welcome guest. She bought a second coffee mug that complemented her favorite one, placing it next to hers in the cabinet. These simple acts fundamentally shifted her relationship with romantic possibility. She was no longer someone hoping to find love, but someone preparing to welcome it. The cleared dresser space and the second coffee mug were daily reminders that partnership was not a distant dream, but an approaching reality. More importantly, these preparations changed how she moved through the world. She became more open, more present, more available, not desperately seeking but confidently expecting. 4 months later, she met her partner in the most ordinary way, reaching for the same book at a bookstore. But she was ready for the meeting in a way she never had been before. Her heart and life had space already prepared. The relationship developed naturally and easily because she had already made room for it, both physically and psychologically. A year later, as her partner unpacked belongings into the dresser space she had cleared, she smiled at the beautiful precision of active faith. These stories share common elements that reveal the mechanics of how active faith operates. First, each person moved from hoping to preparing, from wishing to expecting. Second, their symbolic acts were small and manageable, not grand gestures that created financial strain. Third, the acts shifted their identity and daily experience, constantly reinforcing their new reality. Fourth, the manifestation came through unexpected channels that couldn't have been predicted or forced. Fifth, the preparation made them ready to recognize and receive their good when it appeared. What these stories don't show, but what Shinn emphasized, is equally important. The stories of those who performed symbolic acts from the wrong consciousness and saw no results. The person who bought the wallet in desperation, constantly checking it for money that never came. The individual who cleared space for a partner while radiating desperate loneliness that repelled potential connections. The entrepreneur who leased expensive office space he couldn't afford, creating stress that blocked the very success he sought. These failures teach us that the consciousness behind the act is everything. We have arrived at the summit of understanding, where all the threads of active faith weave together into a single powerful truth. You are the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between potential and manifestation, between desire and fulfillment. Active faith is not merely a technique, but a fundamental shift in how you participate in the creation of your reality. It transforms you from a passive beggar, hoping the universe might notice your need, into an active receiver, preparing confidently for the good that is already making its way to you. This transformation occurs because active faith engages every level of your being simultaneously: your body through physical action, your mind through focused intention, your emotions through the feeling of expectancy, and your spirit through alignment with creative principle. When all these levels work in harmony, pointing toward the same outcome, you become a unified force of creation rather than a collection of contradictory impulses. This unification is what makes active faith so powerful. It eliminates the internal opposition that usually sabotages manifestation. Consider what you've learned, that faith without corresponding action is incomplete, lacking the demonstrative power that impresses the subconscious mind and signals the universe. Your symbolic acts of preparation are not superstitious rituals, but practical applications of spiritual law, creating physical correspondence to metaphysical intention. When you prepare for your good before evidence appears, you're not pretending or forcing belief. You're aligning your entire being with the reality you choose to experience. The principle of digging ditches reveals that the universe can only fill the vessels we prepare for it, that our capacity to receive is directly related to our willingness to prepare. This preparation is not about earning or deserving, but about creating the consciousness and the space in which our good can appear. We stop rehearsing the problem through worry and begin preparing for the victory through active faith. This shift from problem consciousness to solution consciousness is the master key to transformation. Through active faith, you become a participant in the cosmic creative process, working in partnership with infinite intelligence, rather than begging it for favors. You demonstrate that you understand the rules of the game of life, that consciousness creates reality, that preparation precedes manifestation, that faith must be active to be effective. This understanding elevates you from spiritual kindergarten to spiritual mastery, from hoping things might work out to knowing how to make them work out. The universe is not withholding your good from you. This is perhaps the most liberating revelation of active faith. There is no cosmic committee deciding whether you deserve your desires, no heavenly bureaucracy processing your requests, no divine judge determining your worthiness. The universe is pure responsiveness, infinite possibility waiting to take form through your consciousness. It withholds nothing. We withhold from ourselves through our contradictory consciousness, our passive hoping, our failure to prepare for what we claim to desire. When you truly understand this, everything changes. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, waiting for external conditions to improve. You stop believing in lack, limitation, and unworthiness as fixed realities. You recognize that you've been standing in your own way, blocking your good through inaction, doubt, and the failure to demonstrate faith. But more importantly, you realize that you can step aside at any moment, clearing the path for your good to flow to you naturally and abundantly. The universe is actually conspiring to give you everything you desire. It cannot do otherwise. For giving is its nature, just as shining is the nature of the sun. But just as you must open the curtains to let sunlight into a room, you must prepare the vessels to receive universal abundance. Your preparation is not a demand or a test, but an alignment, a way of placing yourself in harmony with the flow of infinite good that is always available, but can only enter where it is expected and where space has been prepared. Think of the universe as an infinite ocean of possibility, and yourself as standing on the shore with a cup. The ocean doesn't decide how much water you receive. The size and readiness of your vessel determines that. Active faith is the process of exchanging your teacup for a bucket, your bucket for a barrel, expanding your capacity to receive through demonstration of expectancy. The ocean is always ready to fill whatever vessel you bring to it. This is why the feeling behind your preparation is so crucial. When you prepare with joy and expectancy, you create an energetic welcome mat for your good. When you prepare with desperation or doubt, you create an energetic barrier that your good cannot cross. The universe responds to invitation, not to demand, to openness, not to grasping, to preparation, not to desperation. Your active faith is your invitation, your demonstration that you're ready to receive what has always been available. Stop waiting for the rain. This is the clarion call of active faith. Stop scanning the horizon for signs that your good might be approaching. Stop postponing your preparation until you have proof that it's worth preparing for. Pick up your shovel and dig a ditch. Clear the space, buy the symbol, make the preparation that demonstrates to every level of your being that you are no longer hoping but expecting. Show your faith through your works, and you will be astounded at how quickly the heavens open. The game of life is indeed meant to be won, and active faith gives you the winning strategy. It's not about working harder, suffering more, or proving your worthiness through struggle. It's about aligning your consciousness with the creative principle of the universe, preparing for good with the same certainty that you prepare for tomorrow's sunrise. When you master this principle, life becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance, less of a test and more of a celebration. Now I present you with a challenge that could transform your life if you have the courage to accept it. The Symbolic Act Challenge. This week, not someday, not when you feel ready, but this week, choose one desire that truly matters to you and perform one small symbolic act of preparation for its fulfillment. It could be as simple as clearing a shelf for an award you intend to win, buying a single flower vase for the love that's coming, or creating a folder labeled Success Stories for the achievements that await. The act itself matters less than the consciousness you bring to it. As you perform your symbolic act, remember everything you've learned here. Ensure that your preparation comes from faith, not fear, from expectancy, not desperation. Feel the joy of preparing for something wonderful, the delight of knowing that your good is on its way. Make your act a celebration of what's coming rather than a desperate attempt to force its arrival. Let your preparation be a love letter to the universe saying, "I trust you, I'm ready, and I'm preparing to receive with gratitude and joy." After you've performed your symbolic act, pay attention to the shift in your internal feeling of expectancy. Notice how different it feels to have taken concrete action rather than just hoping and wishing. Observe how your symbol serves as a constant reminder that you're someone who expects good things. Watch how this simple act begins to shift your entire orientation toward life, transforming you from someone waiting for miracles to someone preparing for them. I invite you to report back in the comments about your experience with the Symbolic Act Challenge. Share not the specific details of your preparation, remember to protect your vision from doubt, but share how it felt to move from passive to active faith. Describe the shift in your energy, the change in your expectancy, the difference in how you wake up each morning knowing you've prepared for your good. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to take their own leap of faith. But don't stop with just one symbolic act. Once you experience the power of active faith, let it become your way of life. Become someone who is always preparing for good in some area, always creating vessels for the universe to fill, always demonstrating expectancy through action. Let your entire life become a preparation for blessings, a constant readiness to receive, a living demonstration that you understand and apply the laws of spiritual success. If you are ready to put your faith into action, if you're prepared to stop waiting and start preparing, then subscribe to the Master's Legacy and activate all notifications. This channel is dedicated to bringing you the deepest wisdom of the great masters of mind, translated into practical techniques you can apply immediately. Each video is a masterclass in consciousness, a transmission of truth that can transform your life if you're ready to receive it and, more importantly, act upon it. The game of life is meant to be won, and you are about to learn all the rules. Not just the rule of active faith, but the entire system of spiritual laws that govern success, abundance, love, and fulfillment. Florence Scovel Shinn was one master among many, and her principle of active faith is one key among many. But it might be the key that unlocks everything else, the first demonstration that proves to you that you are indeed a powerful creator, capable of transforming thought into thing, desire into reality, faith into form.